Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Simple Awakenings podcast, where we are hoping to help you find some calm and clarity in life's chaos. So, today I want to talk about the masks that we wear as superwomen and why we wear them and what that does to our own health and well being when we wear them. So, one of the things that I've noticed in so many of the women that are clients of mine and so many of the super women that I have come across in business and in life is that so many people wear these masks, and they wear these masks to protect themselves from judgment of others, but also because to they don't want to be vulnerable, and they want people to see them and perceive them a certain way, or they feel like they have to put these masks on in order to fit in, or in order to make other people comfortable, or in order for them to survive, because sometimes they're worried about, if they don't wear the masks, if they're going to be accepted, or if they're going to fit in, or if they're going to make other people uncomfortable. And this puts a huge weight and burden on us that we are not even aware of. And I think about, like, what are these masks? What do I mean by masks? Well, masks are things that we say, we do, we pretend. It's when we are um showing up or presenting ourselves differently than how we really feel. So what do I mean by this? I think about the term, I'm fine, it's fine, everything's fine. So many super women, when people say, "Hey, how are you?" "Oh, I'm great." Even though we don't feel great, right? Or even though maybe things aren't great in our life. Or we put this mask on of, I've got everything together, everything's under control, even though we feel like we're not in control, right? We don't have things under control. Like the whole fake it till you make it. How many of you have that philosophy of fake it till you make it? Well, that faking it, that's the mask. But some of us have worn masks for so long that we can no longer discern what's authentically ourselves, what our true self is, and what is actually just a mask that we put on, or a costume we're wearing for other people. And that's the problem with wearing masks for too long, is we start to become disconnected from ourself, our true self. And this is where things can get a little bit dicey, and where we start becoming disconnected from our life, disconnected from, what do we want? What do we need? Who are we? Right? And I think of even the masks, like I think of all the different hats that I wear, all the different masks I wear. Like, I'm a mom, I'm an energy healer. And for a long time, I hid that part of myself, that energy, woo woo, the intuitive part of myself. I hid that part of myself. As Ranchelle talked about in the podcast, we talked about balancing spirituality and science. She talked about hiding in the spiritual closet. Well, that's wearing this mask of being this, hard uh, businesswoman, or this masculine self, right? Whereas behind that mask is actually the feminine self, is the intuitive, emotional, connected, experiential person, right? So that's a mask that we wear. And why do we wear that mask? Because we're afraid that if the true self is seen behind that mask, then we won't be accepted, right? So we wear it for other people, but we also wear it to protect ourselves. So think of this. Think of the times that you are showing up differently than who you are, or you are hiding parts of yourself. And we do this because we want other people to think or believe something about us that's different than what we think or believe about us. And so this is what I mean by the masks. These are the masks that we wear. And again, the more we wear different masks, again, that mask you know what I'm talking about. Think about the mask, the things that the front that you put on, or the way you are showing up to the world, pretending to be something that you are not feeling inside or you do not necessarily connect with. That's what I mean by a mask. But the challenge is the more we wear masks and the more frequently we wear them, the more disconnected we become from our true self, from our authentic self. And the more we disconnect or distract ourselves from our emotions, our feelings, and sometimes when we do that, it actually feeds these negative belief systems in us that tell us that we're not enough or that we have to wear these masks to either protect ourselves or to fit in or to have others think that we are something like capable, successful, whatever, fill in the blanks. When we don't feel that inside, we put on a mask or a front for the outside world. And this is where it becomes problematic because all of those things that we're hiding, we're actually suppressing and shoving down inside of ourselves. And we're feeding this belief inside ourselves that we are not worthy, that we are not enough, that we are not safe. And then this becomes a this creates imbalances in our body. When we suppress emotions, that actually has an impact on our cells in our body, on our neurotransmitters and the way our body communicates. We can actually make ourselves sick by doing this. And so the first step is really to become aware of it. And when we are aware of the masks that we wear, when we are aware of when we're out of alignment with who we're presenting to the world and who we feel like we are on the inside, when there's a disalignment there and we're aware of that, that's when we can take steps to fix that and to change that. And when we start to show up in the world more authentically ourselves and have the courage to take those masks off, that's when we start to accept ourselves for who we are. That's when we start to really find our true power and our resiliency and what we are truly capable of because we are in alignment with who we are meant to be. We are owning who we are. There's a power to that, right? So I think about this like when I was in college, I wore a lot of masks because you know what? I didn't know who I was. I didn't know where I fit. And I was so caught up in everybody else and feeling like I fit or being what I thought other people wanted or expected me to be that I tried on all sorts of different masks, kind of like all the outfits that I tried on, all the hairdos that I tried on, right? These were all ways of me trying to figure out who I was and what I wanted and where I fit. But the more I wore the masks, the more I found myself among people that I didn't feel good when I was around. The more I found myself in situations that made me feel uncomfortable because I was not showing up my authentic self. There was an incongruity to the energy that I was putting out there. And so I was attracting things to me that really weren't things I wanted because I was pretending. Does that make sense? Can you think of times that you've done that? For me, it was college. And it's funny because I had a college reunion, a big one, a couple years ago. And I remember a couple of my college friends who some I've kept in touch with, but really not that many. But I remember a bunch of them saying, "Oh, are you coming back to the reunion?" And you know what I said? No, I'm not because I don't like who I was back then. I don't. Not that I was a bad person, but when I was hiding behind these masks, I wasn't necessarily being the person that I was proud of being or wanted to be or felt good being. Again, not that I was this awful person, but and it's funny because I remember when I first met my husband, going to one of my college roommates' weddings and being around all my sorority sisters and everything, and thinking like, "Oh my God, I just felt like I was wearing an uncomfortable sweater." Right? Like this sweater was getting tight and I was itchy and I felt myself contracted. And I remember my husband, who I was dating at the time, we weren't married, but he looked at me and he was like, "Who are you?" And I realized that all these insecurities were coming up, being around these people. And there was nothing wrong with them, right? It wasn't them, it was me, because I was not being authentically myself. And I wasn't sure that if I was authentically myself, I'd be accepted. And so this is what I mean by wearing a mask. And it wasn't until I got in touch with myself and had the courage to show up authentically myself that I started to attract the people that I felt really good around. I started to attract the situations and the experiences that I really wanted and that were aligned with my soul. And so the more that I started to take the masks off, the more I found my fit and I found my flow. And so I think about, even there are still times in adulthood where I have had to wear some masks. And I think about, like, with all that was going on in my life as an adult, I had a lot of challenges thrown my way. And I remember people saying like, "Oh, how are you?" And I'd wear that mask of, "I'm fine, it's fine. I've got everything under control." And because I wanted people to think that I was strong and capable and resilient, even though on the inside I was feeling totally out of control, broken, alone, and, like I was just waiting for the other shoe to drop. So I didn't have it all together, but I wanted people to think I had it all together. And why was that? Because of this belief system inside of me that I wasn't enough. So I had to show up and prove to everybody that I was enough, because I didn't want to feel less than. I didn't want anybody pitying me. I didn't want people thinking that I couldn't handle my life or judging me or, all of that. So I put this mask on. But what I realized is, by wearing that mask, I felt really lonely and I felt exhausted because I wasn't allowing other people to help me and support me. And I found that it was actually just feeding this belief that I wasn't enough, when in actuality, I was more than enough and I was doing enough and I had a lot on my plate. And so when I finally started letting other people in and admitting to people, "Yeah, no, I'm not okay. I am barely keeping it together." Luckily, I had my husband and we were able to be that to each other, but we would talk about that, how we got to the point where we kind of got sick of pretending. And when people would say, "Hey, how are you? How's everybody?" and they'd ask how my son that had cancer was, I remember saying to somebody, "Oh, he's fine, but my son that has, the neurological challenges and the behavioral challenges, like, wow, he's not doing well. And we're really struggling with this right now." And you know what I found was, some people, yeah, it did make uncomfortable. And that's another reason why we wear masks, because we don't want to burden people. We don't want to make other people uncomfortable. So we pretend. But here's the thing: when we do that, we rob people of the opportunity to truly connect with us and support us. So when I was honest and I was able to say, "Yeah, no, things are really hard right now. And I'm really struggling right now," and take that mask of "I'm fine, it's fine, everything's fine" off, that's when I found true connection with people. That's when people really saw me. And you know what? If that was too much and it made you uncomfortable, you weren't my people. You weren't who I needed right then and there. I needed people that would be like, "Wow, that's really hard. You know what? I wish I could do something for you, but for now, I'm just going to like support you and be there for you." And you know what? When I did that and I took the mask off, I didn't feel as lonely. I felt more connected. I felt more in touch with other people. I felt more empowered because by allowing others to support me and to give me sympathy, empathy, and to make me laugh when they'd say, "What can I do? What can I do to help?" I'd say, "You know what? Remind me to laugh. Like, make me laugh. Let's do something fun. Like, help boost my spirits up a little bit," right? Or can I just problem solve with you? Can you just hear me? Let me process this. Like that's all I needed sometimes. But when I wore the masks, I wasn't able to get number 1, get what I needed, but also I was I was disconnecting from other people, from myself, and I was not allowing myself to get what I needed, which is that support, which is that connection and that camaraderie and that feeling of not being alone in my struggles or in my challenges. So I think about a client of mine. I'm going to call her Susie, but Susie came to me, and again, I remember her walking up the stairs to my office, and oh, everything's great, and she had the total mask of smile. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. She had the mask of fake it till you make it. Yeah, life's a shit show, but fake it till you make it. But guess what? That was weighing on her. She had an autoimmune disease. She was exhausted. She felt alone. She felt, like she had to keep doing and showing up for everybody, and yet she wouldn't let other people help. She felt very lonely in her life. And she talks about, I remember she would share stories with me about going to uh, family gatherings where her ex-husband was there, along with um, people in her ex-husband, world, including women that he was unfaithful to her with, and children born from that. And she would be there and be flitting around doing this, doing that, showing up for this person, showing up for that person. And I remember looking at her and thinking, like, and everybody's okay with this? Like, you were okay with all of this? That had to have been hard. And she was like, well, it is what it is. Nothing I can do about it. And I thought, well, you can actually do something about it. And we talked about the masks that she would wear to survive those experiences. And she said, you know what? That's all I know. But when we started to at least bring the awareness to the fact that she was wearing all these masks of I'm fine, it's fine, everything's fine, even though inside she was not fine. She was full of inflammation because she was suppressing all that anger and resentment and fire inside of her. She was full of hurt and felt really lonely and disconnected from everybody because she was doing all these things thinking if she had boundaries or said no or um, you know, let people know she wasn't okay with all of it, that people would not be there for her or she would lose some of the relationships she had. And you know what? When she became aware of that, she realized, you know what? It's not worth the price that I'm paying to wear all these masks. It's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to say, you know what? That's messed up. And I don't need to be around that and be fine with all of that. I don't need to be around those people. The real people that care about me are going to be there for me. And those connections will be there. And they were. So when she started to realize, wow, all the masks that she was wearing, all the doing and all the things that she would, run around doing this and that, she realized she was doing that because she wasn't happy in her life and she felt disconnected from her life and she didn't feel happy. So by doing it, it distracted her from feeling the unhappiness and the disconnection from her life. But when she was aware of that, that's when she started to slowly take her power back and be like, you know what? No, I'm going to reconnect and I'm going to realize these people were not my people. This situation is not what I signed up for. And that's not a problem with me. That's a problem with them. And she started to show up a little more authentically to the people that mattered in her life. And guess what? When she did that, it actually deepened the connection she had with them. It helped them understand her more. And it helped her feel not so alone. And this is the power of having the courage to notice the masks and take those masks off once in a while. Now, there are times where I still sometimes wear the masks, but here's the cool thing. When you are aware of what those masks are that you're wearing, you get to choose when you put the masks on and when you don't. You get to choose how you show up. And so for me, there are times where maybe I'm going to an outing or I'm going to a party and especially when it's something for my husband and his work, that I might wear a little bit of a mask. Not totally, I'll take it off once in a while with the right people. But in the beginning, I might wear the mask of like energetic, grounded. I don't necessarily show the intuitive sides of me. I don't necessarily share all of that part of me, but I realize that the mask is sort of a half mask, right? It's like think about the ones that you wear at a masquerade ball where it just covers your eyes. It's like a half mask. I'm no longer wearing one of those masks that become itchy and suffocating, right? I have a mask that I can easily take down. And I get to choose when I want to wear a mask. Maybe it's a situation that I don't want to make. I'm not, I've got a lot going on, but I don't want to be Debbie Downer. So I put the mask on of it's fine, everything's fine. But I also know that there are some really good people in my life that I can take the mask off with. And that's the important part. I get to choose when I wear the mask and when I take the mask off. I get to choose who I wear a mask for and who I can be authentically me to. And that's the empowering part. And you can only get to that empowerment part when you are aware of the fact that you are wearing the masks and why you're wearing them. When you don't know that you're even wearing a mask and you don't know why you're wearing a mask, that's your first sign that you're a little disconnected from yourself and from who you are, from your authenticity, and from your life. So don't panic. We've all been there. I have 100% been there. And I still have moments where I'm like, "Ooh, why am I wearing that mask? What am I gaining?" Because we gain something from wearing the mask, whether it's protecting ourselves, whether it's anonymity, whether it's, I mean, who knows? But we gain something from it because it is always a choice. But again, a lot of times we're not aware of it. And when we're not aware of it, it doesn't feel like a choice. It's a habit. But habits can be changed, and they start to change when we are aware of them. And this is the intention of this podcast right now, is to create that awareness of what are the masks that we're wearing and why are we wearing them? And then you get to decide if you have the courage to take the mask off, or maybe you're not quite ready. And this is where I can support you. This is where I have a group coaching program that I'm enrolling in right now. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about what are those hidden stressors, and masks are a hidden stressor. What are the hidden stressors in our life that we don't even realize? What are the things that are stopping us from really having the life that we want to lead? What are the things that are impacting our energy and our ability to show up authentically ourselves? And that's what we're going to talk about, because this course is called How to Find Calm, or Finding Calm in Life's Chaos. And there are a lot of things that maybe some of us think that we're doing. Well, we've been doing this, and maybe you have some strategies and you have some tools, but maybe you're still finding that you're still triggered by certain things, or you're still not quite feeling confident or calm or connected in your life. If that's the case, this might be the program for you. And I'm happy to chat and have a clarity call with you, a free clarity call with you, to decide if this is the right thing for you, or maybe just to help you figure out your path of where you are, where you want to go, and what might be the obstacles that are stopping you from getting there. So if you want, just click the links, check out the links in the show notes to connect, because you don't have to wear all these masks. You can choose when you wear them, why you wear them, or if you wear any at all. You have the power inside of you to do anything, be anything that you want. Be well, everyone.